Welcome everybody to Offside and Out of Bounds here with the NHL Playoff Preview. As always, I'm joined with Junior, and we're going to get right into it, break down the NHL playoffs and what those team matchups look like. Junior, are you ready?
NHL Playoffs!
All right, Junior. Before we jump right into that, we're going to look at the scoring race. Austin Matthews, 40 goals this year. Pretty impressive, and the first time since a Leaf, since when?
That was Gay Stewart back in 1945-46, and he had 37 goals.
Okay, so quite some time before we had a cup last time. Any other honorable mentions here or notations you want to make note of?
You know what? Just to look at the second and the third name on this list, Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl, having absolutely monster years.
Yeah.
It's just too bad that they're probably going to meet the Leafs in the second half of the division playoff to probably get trounced. But still, they've had a great year.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, no, Austin Matthews, he's been incredible. I mean, Connor McDavid, we'll talk about that on the next slide, where he's had 100 points. So, I mean, he's just been unbelievable. I think he picked up that last point just in his last game there.
Yeah.
With the assist, which is just unbelievable. What do you think about this kid and just all the stuff that he's been doing?
He's getting better. And he's getting faster. Like, I don't know how this is possible. Like,
Get him tested.
Yeah, literally. Like, I plateaued out on speed at like maybe, 27 or 28. I wasn't getting any faster. But this kid just keeps getting faster and faster every year. And it's like he's a lightning bolt in front of people. And just special talent, just getting even more special.
Yeah, no, it's unbelievable. Okay, let's take a look here at the power rankings. So we got Vegas up at the top, which I think we both picked them in our trade deadline show, if I'm not mistaken. Tampa Bay, Carolina, Colorado, Boston, Washington, Pittsburgh, Florida, Toronto, Minnesota, New York, Edmonton, Winnipeg, St. Louis, Nashville, and New York. So I think we both had Vegas matching up against the Leafs because we're kind of hopeful that the Leafs are going to make it all the way there. But where do you see these playoff power rankings kind of looking and sitting with you?
Well, the funny thing is that there's one team that's in the playoffs that's not even on the top 16 in the power rankings, and that's the Montreal Canadiens. Les Habitants.
Yeah.
And they're at 19, and it's funny to see how they're not in the top 16 because I think they've lost 7 of 10 and they've been on a bit of a dip right now. So they're going into the playoffs at the wrong time right now. So they're going to be in for a world of trouble, I think, first round. But I think the one thing you can expect from these power rankings is they're going to be pretty dead accurate, almost including all playoff teams, which is usually what it should be. But there isn't no big surprises on there. I might have had the Leafs a bit higher considering they did, win their division. But that's just me. Obviously, maybe a biased Leafs fan.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough. All right, so we're looking at the Honda West here. We got Vegas, Colorado, Minnesota, and St. Louis rounding that up. Not a lot of points kind of dividing the first three teams there. St. Louis kind of limping in there. Is this kind of what you expected from the Honda West division, or was there any surprises here, with Colorado and Minnesota rounding up the 2-3 spot?
I'd say the biggest surprise for me is St. Louis. I definitely thought they had a bit of a better team, early in the season.
Okay.
And then to see that gap between Minnesota and St. Louis, that's a pretty hefty gap. Either way, St. Louis is going round one against the Knights, and that's going to spell disaster for them. I think, at least.
Yeah, I agree. So let's take a look at that matchup, actually. So if we look at the head-to-heads, Vegas picked up 3/4 of the games here, and then outscored them just 34-19. So it was pretty brutal on the scoreboard there. Do you see this going more than 4 games?
It might. St. Louis is a scrappy team, but when you look at the Knights, who have the lowest team goals against, they're in the top 5 goals scored. They've got I think they're still the number 1 penalty kill percentage in the league as well. And when you kind of round all those things into form, Stone's having a great year, Pacioretty's having a good year, Marchessault. They've got a lot of secondary scoring. They've got grinder lines. This is a team that's going to run 4 lines at you, steady, and they play very defensive, and they support everything they need to. Very disciplined team. I would be surprised if St. Louis didn't at least get one at home. But I definitely see this going around 5.
Okay. Moving along here, we got the Avs matching up against the Wild. The head-to-head series was 5-3 in favor of the Habs, and then 31 goals to 25. So it's been close. How do you see this series matching up, and ultimately who's the winner and in how many games?
I think this might be a bit closer than a lot of people have them. The Avs, I think they're about 184 goals for, and they're 5th lowest in the league at 130. So the goal differential of plus 53. Obviously, the Wild aren't anywhere close to those differentials.
Yeah.
And then you have Kaprizov, who is the first rookie since Austin Matthews in 16-17 to actually lead their team in points, and he's having an absolutely phenomenal year. He's got 27 goals, 24 assists. So for a rookie coming in, he's been a huge piece. Blew the rest of the rookie competition out of the way. Like, give this kid the ROI. That said, is over and done with. But the Avs are one of the stingiest teams, 5th stingiest team in the league, and they still gave up 25 goals against the Wild. So again, you have to look at the Avs a little more balanced, a little more secondary scoring than the Wild do, because there's a pretty big drop off between Kaprizov and the next guy who's in line. So you got to keep that in mind when it comes to playoffs. If they can shut down Kaprizov, this could be a 4, but I think it might be a bit closer than people think.
Okay. Let us know what you think. For all the viewers that are watching, make sure to hit that subscribe button as you see over here. But let us know what you think, and if Junior's going to have those picks come through, or if there's going to be an upset. We're going to move over here to the Discover Central. It's got Carolina, Florida, Tampa Bay, and Nashville rounding out the 4 there. And then again, you got only a few points here separating the top 3 teams, with Nashville kind of straggling in there. Any surprises here as this division kind of rounded up?
I'd say that Carolina's in first place, and the fact that I'd say deadline when we talked about this, Tampa was in first, and Carolina, Florida, and we even talked about how quickly this division can just flip, and it did. That puts Tampa Bay not on home ice advantage going up against Florida, who they've had very close series. So I think Carolina being at first probably the bigger surprise out of this division for me for sure.
Well, that's going to be a heck of a series for these guys to watch down in Florida as well, right? The Battle of Florida there. Okay, so let's jump right into that. So Carolina at the Predators here. The Canes took 6 and lost 1, and then goals 24-10. I mean, this looks pretty lopsided. Is there any surprises that Nashville's going to be able to pull out here?
No.
Okay.
I'm not even going to elaborate because it's not going to happen. I'm sorry.
This is going to be a sweep, I think, right?
It could be. And if it's not, they're just going to be, steamrolled. I mean, they scored 10 goals against them in 7 games.
Yeah.
So do the math. How many goals a game was Carolina averaging against them? So that's a huge thing. So it's going to be Carolina a cakewalk. Maybe 5. Maybe Nashville gets 1 at home, or they sneak out the first one. Usually it's what happens. They'll lose the first one. It's a huge surprise. Oh my God, they're going to do it. But no, they're not going to do it. So they'll either take 1 at home or they'll take the first one. But so, I still think the Canes are 5. They're a very healthy team. They're moving really well right now, so I don't see any issues. I don't think there's anyone on Nashville that's going to shut down Aho, or Trocheck or Svechnikov. So there's a lot of scoring on that team.
Yeah, all right. Let's look at the other matchup in the Discover Central Division, which is Florida and Tampa Bay, the Battle of Florida. When they met head-to-head, Panthers took 4 of the 7 games, and they scored 27 goals, with the Bolts scoring 24. So pretty close on both fronts there. When they met up, they almost split them, and then coming down to the goals, very close. What do you think is going to happen here?
You could literally look at that. This is a 7-game series, and this is exactly the way it's going to work out. This is going to be a longer series. I think a lot longer than people might be expecting here. Yeah. Florida plays Tampa really well, and sometimes Tampa plays Florida really well. It all really depends. So you're going to talk about the first 4 being split home and home. So once you get out past that, I think that advantage of the home ice is going to kick in for Florida. But again, Huberdeau and Barkov are having great years. It's going to be interesting to see what kind of Stamkos you're going to get for the playoffs. There's been a bit of a drop off in Tampa in terms of scoring. Points still had a pretty decent year, but outside of that, I don't know where their secondary scoring is going to come from,
Yeah.
or if they're going to have enough of it to compete. So, the one thing that they do have is Vasilevsky, who's going to keep them in most of the games. So, this is either going to be a real stingy game where they're going to be 1-0, 2-1 victories, and it's just going to be, whoever's riding the hot hand is going to end up winning.
Who do you think is going to win this series?
It's a tough one for me, but I'll be honest with you. I like Florida.
Okay.
I think they're in a good spot here, with that home ice advantage. Again, if Tampa takes one on the road, then they're going to kind of wrestle that home ice away from them. But
yeah,
I definitely think that the secondary scoring is going to be in Florida's benefit.
Okay. Let's take a look at the Mass Mutual East. So if you look here, we got Pittsburgh, Washington, Boston, and the Islanders. Very, very competitive division. Took a lot of points here. I mean, there's only 7 points that separates the first and the fourth seed here.
Yeah.
Any surprises in how this landed up?
Not really. These are the 4 teams that I expected to be there when it came down to playoffs. So
these are some heavy hitters right here.
These are not small teams that someone squeak through.
Big market teams.
Yeah.
Loyal fan bases.
Teams. Oh yeah, huge fan bases in their towns. So it's good to see that the healthy teams are kind of in there and still moving around. I'm just personally happy that Boston is not a first round opponent of the Leafs.
I agree.
And it's nice to see them starting on the road in Washington. But I think Washington might have some trouble there, but we'll get into that.
Okay. Well, let's look at the first matchup then. So we've got the Pittsburgh Penguins and the New York Islanders. When they met head-to-head, Pittsburgh took 6 of the 8 games. And then if you look at the goal differential here, you got 7 goals difference with Pittsburgh having 26 goals and then the Isles having 19 goals. These two teams matching up, again, only 7 points separate them. Do you think the Islanders have a chance to upset the Penguins here?
I don't know if they have a chance to upset them. I think they have a chance to be competitive with them.
Fair enough.
The only thing that is going to concern me about Pittsburgh would be their goaltending, and if they're going to get the goaltending, they need to move on.
Yeah.
But then when you look on the other side, okay, the Islanders do have some decent goaltending in Varlamov, but do they have enough secondary scoring to compete with Pittsburgh? So they both have their kind of black marks on this, but it's so tough to not take a team that's got Sidney Crosby as the captain.
Yeah.
It's just plain and simple. He always finds another gear come these times, and it's too tough to choose against him.
Yeah. I mean, they always find a way, and they have a history of winning in the playoffs. So
yeah.
Okay. Let's see who we got next. We got the Capitals, Boston again. So happy that we don't have to face Boston in the first round and go 7 games and lose by 1 goal in overtime. But enough about that. As they met up, Bruins actually took 4 of the 7 games here, and then goal differential was only 2 in the Bruins' favor. Now we know Washington's ability to be very good on the offensive end, and Boston just to be a gritty team. These two matching up. What do you like about either of these teams, and ultimately, who do you think is going to win this series, and how long will it go?
This is going to be, I would say, the one. If you're like a casual NHL fan and you're going to pick one series to watch, I think this is going to be it. Me being a Leafs fan, whatever, that might be a cakewalk, or it's going to be another 7-game disaster. But you got 2 teams here that know each other very well. Now, you just said that Boston was gritty. They're gritty, but they score a ton of goals.
Washington is also gritty. I don't want to take anything away from Washington.
No,
they can get tough and dirty, too.
I was going to get to that. And then you've got Washington, who, again, is also offensively skilled. And then they've got that, pardon my French, but expletive-deleted Tom Wilson. So when you put him and Marchand, and you're just, it's a recipe for something's going to pop. And this is going to be a grind them out, big hits, highlight reel goals, insane checks. It's just, this is going to be like that one that you want to watch. And if it's the only one you watch, you're going to walk away and go, wow, I got so much from the NHL this year. This is that series.
The thing I would worry about in a series like this too is it's going to be extremely physical, and how that's going to roll into the second round when you match up likely against Pittsburgh. You got to try to stay healthy here, because that's going to be an issue if you try to go up against them and you got some guys banged up.
Yeah, and that's exactly what's going to happen. And that usually happens when Pittsburgh and Washington get together in the second round. Is one of them's gone through a heavy series, and health is an issue. So it's going to be the same thing this year. It's whoever gets out of the first round in better shape is going to end up winning the second round matchup.
Yeah. Who do you have in the series? Do you have Boston winning this series? Okay. I mean, they have it there on the paper, but let's just see what happens. This is going to be a great series to watch.
Yeah.
Okay, let's move over to the Scotian North here. Okay, so we got Toronto, Edmonton, Winnipeg, and Montreal. And then, Toronto kind of ran away with this for the most part, with Edmonton kind of a little bit hot on the heels a little bit. Any surprises here? I think we expected Toronto to do what they're doing, but what about Edmonton and Winnipeg? Did you expect them to land kind of in those positions?
Winnipeg, I would say no. I was actually expecting Calgary to be here, but they just had a season fall apart. So that I think the biggest surprise would be that Calgary was just so bad this year.
Yeah. Okay.
Vancouver I thought would have been a little bit better. I don't know about playoff better, but I thought they'd be a little bit better. And then Ottawa is Ottawa. Yawn. The other surprise is Montreal still has not clinched their spot. They still have 2 games to go, and they only need 1 point to mathematically get themselves in. I'm sure they'll get the point, or it'll be someone else will lose to get them in. But I don't see Winnipeg getting out of that spot. I think that Edmonton, Winnipeg, Toronto, Montreal setup's pretty solid right now.
Okay. So let's take a look at those matchups, kind of the potential first matchup here. Granted, everything kind of happens the way that we expect it to, which it should. Toronto matching up against the Habs. Toronto took 70% of those games, so 7 out of 10. And then the head-to-head goals, Toronto scored 34, with the Habs scoring 25. Toronto is a very proficient team right now. They're looking good. Do you expect any hiccups here for them making it through the first round if they match up against the Habs?
There's always hiccups. Let's be honest. Realistic Leaf fan here, there'll be a hiccup or two.
Yeah.
I'm still a little concerned about the goaltending situation. Obviously Jack Campbell 17-2 to finish the season off. Played absolutely phenomenal. Team in front of him was loosey goosey. Pot and goals left, right, and center.
Yeah.
But where does Freddie fit in if he does even come back? Because we're still not hearing anything in terms of what's going on with him. So that's kind of shocking. It's either that or he was like, I'm done with this. I don't want to play anymore. So
yeah,
who knows? But when you look at the defensive front, the grit they have on this team, the secondary, the tertiary scoring that they have on this team is just ridiculous.
Yeah.
And obviously with Matthews, Marner leading the way, and then Tavares and Nylander, you can just run down the entire team. It's just name after name after name after name.
Yeah.
Now the one thing about the Habs is, they know this team, and the one thing that they've got going is Carey Price. And what is Carey Price bringing to the table? Is he going to just say, I'm going to shut the lights out?
Yeah.
Because he's got that ability to do that.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. For me, I'm still, I got to take the Leafs just because of the tear they've been on lately. But I don't know. What do you think?
There's always that hesitation when you get excited. That's why I'm kind of trying to keep my demeanor. I know I'm geared out here and I got everything all set up Leafs, but it's one of these things where you just got to take it slow a little bit. My heart has been broken many times in the past, and it's a little touch and go with me. I do expect them to get through this series. I don't really see it being an issue. Now, you did mention Carey Price. He does have that ability to just flip that switch, and you're not going to get anything past him.
Yeah.
I think the Leafs have to win Game 1. That is an absolute must for this series, because I don't want anything getting to their head and just,
So it's got to be a statement game. They got to blow them out.
We know what happens in the media, and if that gets back and there's any little doubt there, those are the concerns that I always have with this team. Always. Yeah. Every time. We're ruthless here. That's
the problem. They're going to find something. However small it be, they will find it and they will magnify it. Rasmus Sandin, he didn't drag his foot long enough to get out in terms of the offside.
Yeah.
And this is horrible. We can't believe this team's playing like this. That's Toronto media for you.
Yeah. I just don't want to get into a position where we're down 1 or 2 games, and
no,
my heart can just not take that.
No.
Like, I'm talking medically, you can't take it.
Because the Ducks have a lot of youth, man. They've got a lot of guys. They're full of piss and vinegar, and Kotkaniemi, Toffoli. Well, Toffoli's not young. You got Nick Suzuki. I mean, they've got some young dudes on that team that are kind of they'll have the ability to hype themselves up. So,
and they're coming in here, like you mentioned when we looked at the power rankings. They're coming in at 19. They're going, hey, we got nothing to lose. We're not even supposed to be here. Those are dangerous thoughts when you start thinking about things like that. And then if you come out and you steal that first game, anything goes. Yeah. Anything can happen here. And then you got You're standing in front of Carey Price. So okay,
It's one of the greatest playoff rivalries in the history of the NHL.
This might be the best one of the best rivalries in the NHL period, regardless of playoff. I mean, that's the reason we usually play these guys, probably the first and last game of every season, right? So,
yeah.
Okay, let's move along here. Oilers, Winnipeg. When they met, Oilers took 7 of 9, and then you got 34 goals for the Oilers, 22 for the Jets. What's the expectations in this series?
If I'm Winnipeg, you have to figure out how to stop Draisaitl and McDavid, because if they get going, put it to bed.
Yeah.
Not to say that Scheifele and Ehlers can't match them, but at this point they can't match them. I mean, you're talking about 179 points between those two, and
it's just
106 points between the other two. So
in what 55, 56 games? I mean, this is unreal.
That's a Gretzky year. That kid could have had 200 points.
Unreal.
Crazy. But, the one thing that is the Achilles heel of the Edmonton Oilers is their goaltending. And they've been doing things, by committee with Smith and Koskinen. We'll see if they've got playoff chops, because everyone knows the Oilers. They're going to score goals. They're not going to be that defensively sound. They're going to score. But, they never have a goalie. And the one thing that you're going to get from the Jets is they're a well-coached team. Yeah, some guys might not like their coach, but they're a well-coached team. They're defensively responsible. They always help the next guy out. They don't take plays off, and you've got, Connor Hellebuyck, who's a very strong goalie. So, those are things you have to consider. And I think this could be a hell of a lot closer than people think. Everyone's probably going to be betting big money on the Oilers, and I can see the Jets sneaking a few games out, maybe even winning one on the road, and definitely putting the pressure on them.
Well, I hope this does become, this is an exciting series. I enjoy watching a lot of the Canadian series when they match up, so I do hope this is a little bit more exciting than, like you said, a lot of people are thinking about. But, I do have the Oilers kind of pushing through here with some ease. Okay, so let's take a look here at our picks. Okay, so Vegas, St. Louis. Who are you taking? Vegas? I'm going to take Vegas as too. I think that's a lock. I don't see St. Louis doing really much there. I think it'll actually be a sweep. I think Vegas is just going to get the ball rolling, and they're just going to roll.
Are you going to call it a sweep? Because if you're going to call it a sweep, call it a sweep.
I'm calling a sweep on Vegas.
Okay, you're calling a sweep.
Okay, I'm calling a sweep on Vegas. I think Vegas is just going to roll right through this team. I don't think it's going to be any issue at all. Colorado, Minnesota.
Give me the Avs.
I got the Avs too. Okay, Carolina, Nashville.
Give me Carolina.
Yeah, I don't think Nashville's gonna be able to go there. This is the interesting one because again, I like the Florida matchup. I love this. So Florida, Tampa Bay.
Give me the Panthers.
Okay, I'm gonna take T-Bay. I think it's gonna go probably all the way to us. I think it's gonna go 7 games. Pittsburgh Islanders.
Give me Sid the Kid.
Yeah, I'm gonna take Pittsburgh as well. And this is another great matchup. So Washington, Boston.
Beantown, baby. Give me the Bruins.
You know what? I mean, it's so hard to go against Boston. I just know what they're capable of doing. I really want to see Washington-Pittsburgh, though. I just love that matchup. I'm going to go Washington. I think it's going to be close, though. I think it's going to go probably 6 or 7 games for sure. Toronto, Montreal.
I'm going to go against popular opinion, and I'm going to take the Leafs.
Yeah, exactly. There's no surprises here. I'm going to take the Leafs for this, but I'm just going to take the Leafs. I'm not going to say anything else more about it, and I'm not going to talk about the Leafs. Edmonton and Winnipeg for the final.
Okay, here, you go first.
Okay, I'm going to go... I'm going to go Edmonton. I don't think Winnipeg is going to be able to beat the offensive power. I'm not really concerned about the defense. I'm not concerned about the goalie. I think they're just going to score a lot of goals and have a lot of assists. I mean, when you look at, how did McDavid have so many assists? I mean, it's just unbelievable. Are you going to take the upset here? It looks like you're leaning.
Give me the Jets.
Oh, that's a 7-game series if you're going Jets, man. I don't
give me the Jets. I think they're gonna find a way. You talk about all the goals and the assists McDavid had, but how many did he have against the Leafs? Not a lot. You know why? Because they
another offensively powered team, right?
Well, no, they shut them down defensively, and I think if you can shut down McDavid, Scheifele is the guy that can get all over McDavid. He's got a speed. He's got some speed to keep up with him too.
He might have another gear.
He could, but then you've got guys that are going to knock him on his butt. And I just think when you take speed and you keep hitting it with a brick wall, it's going to slow down sooner or later. So I think if you just keep doing that and they can shut down McDavid, I think they have a chance to win.
100 points in a season. This guy is going to he's going to continue to tear it up.
We'll see.
That matchup, if the Leafs match up against Edmonton, I know you're saying that the Leafs were able to shut them down. I think that series is just going to be unbelievable. Those are going to be high-scoring, high-powered games, I think. What do you have there? Are you about to pull something out there? Do you have a sound effect?
No.
Thought we were going to hear the upset bell from March Madness.
Oh no, that the reggae
that's
horn
been retired?
It's only for March Madness.
All right. So that's the NHL Playoff Preview. Junior, just some final thoughts overall. Are you just excited to have playoff hockey back? Just give me a final thought here.
This whole thing that's been going around, the entire world that seems to get better one day and get worse the next day. The one thing that I applaud these major league teams in doing is keeping these things running and doing it well. And
it's a lot of work.
It's a crap ton of work. It's tireless effort. I mean, they're contact tracing and they're tracing every step that every guy makes and who they're in contact with. And, it's a lot of work. It's a lot of moving parts. And the one thing that NHL has done is they have set the example for every other sport on how to lock things down. Yeah. Now, granted, Vancouver kind of, had a little bit of a flare up there, but in terms of all the teams, all the traveling, all the hotels, all the ice time, all this stuff, it's been absolutely ridiculous. So to have the ability to have this go through, and last year the playoffs were great, and I'm expecting the same from these playoffs. And I'm just excited to get the second season going, because the second season's the best season.
Yeah, I agree. They've done an incredible job and really set the benchmark for, health protocols, keeping the players healthy. Thank you to the NHL, thank you to all staff and support, admin people, everybody, even the players. I mean, this has not been easy for them to play through this situation, or their families. I mean, these are human beings at the end of the day. And, as much as we idolize them and enjoy them and watching them on TV, I mean, these guys are real people and they have families and they have concerns as well. So, thanks to everybody for making this happen. We're really excited. But yeah, I think that's a wrap for us. So thanks everybody for watching. Again, please hammer that subscribe button over here. We appreciate your attention and feedback as always. So please comment, let us know what you really think, because we want to know, and we want to maybe call you out as to why you think that team is going to win and go against our picks. So please stay tuned for more on the NHL. We're going to pick up after the first round of playoffs, and we'll bring you a little playoff preview after that. But for everybody here at Offside and Out of Bounds, I'm Adam.
I'm Junior.
See you real soon.